I mean, Sean Dyche would call it utter woke nonsense, wouldn't he?
Surely that should be reclassified as a hate crime now, bringing a drum into a football stadium.
I think it's just the transfer fee, isn't it? For that transfer fee, you're kind of expecting more of a finished article than what we've clearly got.
There's quite a lot of good work going on in the academy.
I mean, if you'd said to me he was 17, and you watch that performance, you're like, wow. And in his last 90 minutes of football at the CBS Arena, he's been booked 3 times. It's, he don't want to see the place again, does he? What's going on here? And I just happened to catch Matt Bloomfield's reaction out the corner of my eye. Apoplectic would be the term I'd use.
It does have, banana skin written all over it.
The one you kind of fear here, isn't it, is Josh Nerfville coming back to haunt us. Jimbo and I are fully paid up members of the Josh Keeley fan club.
Every experience I've had of Christ Makosso, he's the happiest man in the world. I don't know what has happened there for him to throw such a mean punch at somebody.
If ever his football career goes wrong, he'll make a mighty handy super middleweight, wouldn't he, based on that right hook. The town are back on our travels for the 3rd time in a week on Saturday afternoon when we head up to Valley Parade to take on Bradford City, newly promoted Bradford City. Alongside me to preview a Saturday 3 o'clock game, which is always nice, is the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe. Jimbo, all the way up to Bradford. Let's hope we keep the winning run going.
1-0. Let's get back to Luton.
Well, we'll see if that is the case, and that's what he thinks right after this intro. Hello everyone, welcome along to another episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the award-winning, longest-running Luton Town podcast, having scooped bronze in the Best Football League podcast category at the Football Content Awards. Once again, the show is in association with Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. And very much fulfil their potential they did at Coventry on Tuesday night. We're going to look ahead to the Bradford game on Saturday, but myself and Jimbo will just have a few words on the Coventry game as well before we look ahead to the Bradford game. And I don't think we need to sort of dwell on it too long, Jimbo. I kind of said that in the initial reaction that I put out. There wasn't really much to say. I mean, it looked like a pre-season game. It smelt like a pre-season game. And had it not have had a Carabao Cup title plastered all over it, it would have been a pre-season game.
Yeah, but that being said, I quite enjoyed it. At least the first half, well, until the goal went in, to be honest. I quite enjoyed it. It was there were some promising signs there, some good performances, some not so good performances, and you could see for at least the first 45 minutes, at least, that it looked like a bit of an improvement from the previous 2 games, albeit the second half against Peterborough was pretty good. But yeah, I mean, they had lots of shots, 9 in the first half, and they only managed 1 on target. So that sort of tells you where the struggles are at the moment, which is kind of okay, because last season the struggles were everywhere, and now defensively not so much, albeit Coventry had a lot of chances and squandered them. They played almost on the counter, but that's interesting in itself, isn't it? Them being a promotion chasing Championship side, and you go to their patch and you make them play like an away team. I'm all for that. There was good build-up play, just the cutting edge was not there.
No, it wasn't. No, that shot on target, probably the longest range shot that we had all night as well. Maybe rivaled with Zach Nelson's one that's somewhere in Solihull right now. I thought first half, like I said, was good to watch. It did have that pre-season stroke funereal atmosphere about it, apart from the pillock with the drum in the corner. I mean, who takes a drum to a football match anyway? Least of all a Carabao Cup game where even one of the stands was shut. You don't need a drum in them situations.
Surely that should be reclassified as a hate crime now, bringing a drum into a football stadium. It's just not on, really. If you can't, pun intended, drum up your own atmosphere, then you've got bigger problems.
You have, yeah. I mean, so the opposition should get a goal start if you take a drum in. I think that's one way of weeding it out. Yeah, 11 changes. It wasn't a surprise. Matt told the whole world that he was going to make. Well, he didn't give the exact number, but he made it perfectly clear that he was making wholesale changes. Tuesday night, I'm fine with it. So we went with a back three of Tom Holmes, who will never ever want to see the CBS Arena again, I think it's fair to say. Mark McGuinness and Christian Chigozie, who made his debut for the club, having first been on the bench for us at the Emirates of all places 18 or so months ago. They were the back three. And then we saw Cohen Bramall for the first time at left wing back. We saw Gideon Kodua for the first time making his debut at right wing back. Then we had a kind of, what do they call them? Pivots, don't they? Liam Walsh and Zach Nelson, which was an interesting one. Matt said he wanted to see him in that position to see how he did. We'll discuss that in a second. Further forward from that, Lamine Fanner and Corley Woodrow. In behind, Lasse Nordos, whose girlfriend I had the pleasure of meeting on the concourse last night, Jimbo, and very nice lady. But who's Sean?
Really liked Kodua's work. He looked.
Just on that, we should start getting pronunciation right. Kodua.
Well, yeah, and you said we'd be getting Nordas's name wrong as well.
Nordos.
So his girlfriend told you that, did he? Nordos.
After I made a bit of a buffoon of myself, I went in and said, there were 5, I'm assuming they're Norwegian girls, with Nordos 44 shirts on. So I just thought they were related to him. So I said, you must be related to Lasse Nordas. And she was like very quick to point out Nordos. And I was like, fair dues. But it was a girlfriend and her friends. So not any relatives to him. But yeah, Nordos.
We've got an update on Big Nigel's name as well, haven't we?
We have indeed. Nigel Longwake.
That's a surprise. I didn't see that one coming.
No, absolutely, me neither. But we might need to use it again when we talk about the Bradford game. I suspect he came off the bench, didn't he, for the second half. There were a lot of enjoyable performances. You're right. Kodua looked really, really good down that right-hand side. And you kind of get the feeling that if Jerry Yates was on earlier on in that game, he'd have set up a goal with those rampaging runs down that right-hand side. But I personally liked Lamine Fanny's performance last night. Thankfully, I didn't like it too much because obviously there's all sorts of rumours doing the rounds that Frank Lampard is an admirer of his. And to be fair, Frank Lampard should know a thing or two about midfielders running from deep into the penalty box. Generally, when something happened last night, he was on the vicinity of it.
Yeah, him and Liam Walsh, I think, really bossed the midfield. Zach had a good game as well. But
that shot aside.
Yeah. But Liam Walsh was doing what he does, picking the ball up, pinging it everywhere, and Fanner was doing the running work, and that was useful. One particular moment, I was like, he had half a pitch to run into with the ball, and it just seemed to slow up. So I think there's some of where the improvement and learning is, but it looked really good. I wasn't aware that Frank Lampard was an admirer of him, but hopefully that the midfield options can stay as they are. Because it did look very good. They bossed slightly more of the lion's share of the possession. The build-up play was good. They used the width a lot more, which you would do because finally they had some wing-backs to play with. And Kodua got through a lot of work running up and down there. But I think it was just the fearlessness of him. He's 20 years old. He just looked like he'd take on anyone, and he did. And so that can only bode well. He's sort of slightly behind on his fitness, but I'm awaiting him, really hitting his straps.
I think the best thing you can say about him was it just fell apart a little bit in the second half after he'd been substituted at half time. Not necessarily a slight on anything that was on the pitch, but clearly that outlet on the right-hand side kind of disappeared really, didn't it? And yeah, it will be interesting to see him. We'll come on to that right wing back position shortly because we do think someone's going to need to fill it because it did look like Rue Walters went off with an injury on Saturday and he was nowhere to be seen last night. They even had 2 or 3 travelling spare players and he wasn't one of them. So I'm assuming that, putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 4, I suspect we need to find another right wing back and we obviously need to find a right centre back after Christ Makosso, Anthony Joshua impression in the middle of that penalty box as well. So that was good. You're right about the midfielders. How did you see Nordos up front, though? Because it's becoming a bit Marmite, isn't he, in amongst the Luton fan base? Me personally, I thought he held the ball up well. Yes, there are parts of his game that didn't look as good, but if you've heard Matt Bloomfield every time he's spoken about him, he keeps on saying that they're continually working with him on things that he needs to improve on. Well, runs would be one of them, wouldn't it? You know, there was a few times, as I mentioned a minute ago, that Kadir got down the right-hand side, but Nordos was behind his defender and he couldn't put it into him. The other thing that he needs to work on really is just that sort of laying the ball off, isn't he? He can get it under control nicely, but it's either under hit or over hit. But these things will come, and he's up against two championship defenders, and Coventry were a lot stronger last night than I thought they would be. And they got even stronger as the game went on, with first teamer after first teamer coming on. For a night, and well, it wasn't 90 minutes, was it? But for the time that he was on the pitch, I've seen worse forward performances, put it that way.
Yeah, it's seen from what I've read afterwards from various people, sort of just divisive. And I didn't see it that way particularly. I thought it was probably one of the better performances that he's had in a Luton shirt, and there's not really been that many. But he made himself available as a target man and was useful in that regard. And obviously, you know, he did make a decent run for Caulder Woodrow's pass after Woodrow had that long range shot saved, but just couldn't quite steer it in. But, you know, people are going to look at the attackers at the moment because they're not scoring and they're not really creating the clear-cut chances that you'd want, albeit there was numerous shots. But that was one because it was such a fabulous sort of reverse ball from Caulder Woodrow. But, yeah, I didn't see some of what I've read today anyway.
I think it's just the transfer fee, isn't it? For that transfer fee, you're kind of expecting more of a finished article than what we've clearly got. He's a work in progress. Hey, it's the mantra of the season so far, isn't it? Work in progress, and he's very much it. We're not going to dwell too much more on it, but I just quickly want to touch on the fact that, as I said in the initial reaction, the biggest positive of the night: 3 academy products and Jake Richards. Jake Richards just turned 18. All finished the game. Future's bright for the football club. So that's Zach Nelson, Christian Chigozie, who did not look out of place in that defence. When you think he's not up against Coventry's reserve strikers here. He's up against Ellis Sims and Haji Wright, who were the front two when we lost 3-2 there last season. And Josh Phillips came on the left wing back and did nothing wrong either. So bright future.
Yeah, it's looking that way, and it's nice to see that. It's just a shame that obviously Luton went out and they don't get to play in that competition again. But I get the feeling that they will be involved in the Virtu Trophy, so that will be good for them. And hopefully, I guess, you know, I said at the beginning of the season not too bothered about the cups, and I sort of stand by it. But when you see that 4, and really if you can put Kadea in there as well, because he's only 20, all getting minutes in there, it's useful in that regard. And you know, for the Virtu Trophy, then you probably want to see them play, get deeper into the competition so they can get more competitive action. You're still looking at, with younger players, probably injuries or really dramatic loss of form or some, you know, major result problems to get in. That's the standard way that you get in, unless you're a wonder kid like, you know, Lionel Messi was. But then you've got to take your chance, obviously, and you know, I think that Nelson is growing into this first team squad to the point where you view him now as that rather than a academy player. And then it's, you know, Chigozie's only 17, so he looks up to the likes of Nelson and Joe Johnson, who unfortunately is still injured, and Josh Phillips as well. I just get the sense really that there's quite a lot of good work going on in the academy and some really good up and coming players, almost for me, that seem more advanced than the academy status at the moment, if you know what I mean, because they're trying really hard to get that category 2 status to improve that. But I think that what they've done really is get a bunch of players who are progressing along so well that you get these opportunities. And it was not, you know, lip service or anything they got in. And Chigozie's performance really showed that he's quite capable against those two players. Ripped as a new one at the CBS Arena last season, didn't they? And that wasn't the case for him, at least.
Yeah, not down that side. They didn't. Yeah, you're right. I mean, unless he's injured, I think we can ink Chigozie into the Virtue Trophy opening game against Barnet, can't we? Really good performance. I mean, if you'd said to me he was 17, and you watch that performance, you're like, wow. Because, there was one or two times where he was caught out of position a little bit. Hey, he's going to be. But, these...
you have to allow for that, don't you?
Absolutely.
You have to allow
You're not going to get
mistakes.
you're not going to get a perfect performance out of a 17-year-old, but you got a better than 7 out of 10 performance out of him. And, that's Haji Wright as a US international. Mauricio Pochettino picks him for America. It's not just anyone that he was up against. Less said about the other side of the defence, the better, though. He had a stinker.
You could argue, although there's a lot of distance to go after he is beaten for the goal, that allows Raphael to get in and open up the space and leaves Luton a bit exposed at the moment. We're talking Tom Holmes, aren't we? So, there was a couple of times that he seemed to be caught flat-footed. And, again, you have to sort of give him a certain degree of sympathy because he hasn't played a lot. He went on loan to Belgium to Dender and played 2 from the records that I can see. And both of those were defeats, and he came from a side that was getting defeated as well. So there's that aspect. But yeah, it didn't look quite up to speed, but he's not any competitive matches. But given the defensive strengths we've got across the back line at the moment, where he plays, he's probably at the bottom of the pecking order anyway, just by virtue of the players that they've brought in and the players that they trust or had last season. So, yeah, perhaps, given a couple of weeks, 3 weeks of the transfer window, there might be a move away because you can't see him breaking in for the league side unless there are major problems again, injury-wise.
Yeah, and of course there's going to be a point where him being there stunts the progression of Chigozie as well, isn't it? And, in his last 90 minutes of football at the CBS Arena, he's been booked 3 times. It's, he don't want to see the place again, does he, to be fair, Tom Holmes? The other positives on the night, 90 minutes for McGuinness, that's really, really good. Not overly... I mean, people are telling me that Chigozie can replace Makosso on Saturday. We'll come on to that in a minute, but spoiler alert, he won't. I don't think McGuinness will either. He doesn't look physically strong in himself yet like we're used to him seeing. Got bullied a couple of times last night, and I know Ellis Sims is a big lad, but that doesn't generally happen when Mark McGuinness is fully fit, strength, and up to speed. So, but that was definitely positive. Another 30 or so minutes for Jerry Yates, who was the victim of the worst refereeing decision of the season so far.
Shocking, wasn't it?
If we're going to get them, I suppose it's good to get them in the Carabao Cup rather than the league. But I would have loved to have seen how he finished when he was clean through on goal, because you can tell there's a confidence about the guy. And the goalkeeper was well off his line. I just wonder if he was going to lob him and then go and celebrate with the empty stand behind the goal.
Yeah, well, we'll never know, will we? Because it's a shocking decision. And
I mean, when he gave the free kick, I thought he was giving them the free kick, and I thought, oh, that's fine. Then he pointed in the direction that we were shooting. I was like, what's going on here? And I just happened to catch Matt Bloomfield's reaction out the corner of my eye. And, apoplectic would be the term I'd use, I think.
Well, yeah, because the opportunities are sort of dried up by that point, and it was a great opening, and we want him to get off the mark quicker, rather than later. Even though, probably quite a confident bloke, but
you always want to score your first goal for your new club, don't you? I mean,
absolutely,
that's a milestone.
And him not having any of the minutes in pre-season, again, is sort of going to put him back a couple of weeks, hopefully not too long. And if he's getting a start at Peterborough as he did at the weekend, then that's probably the way to bed him in and just get him playing, because if something breaks, then you expect him to be around it to knock it in. But you get the sense from the performance at Coventry that you can see how the wing-back situation will work when we've got some wing-backs, which doesn't look like that situation is going to be properly resolved for maybe a month or two, because obviously Izzy Jones' stress fracture of the back, and Bramall is what they reckon 2 weeks into virtually his pre-season, so that's probably another month for him. So we'll wait and see on that one. But like we said in the previous two roundups of the league games, if you're a work in progress like that and still grinding out some wins, and that's what the best you can hope for.
Yeah, I wonder if Bramall's ready for the bench. We're probably in that situation where we could do with the 9 subs rather than the 7 subs, because you could stick a couple on, and if we were a couple of goals in front, you could bring them on like Mark McGuinness has been doing. It was just a night of, we went through it, we didn't go through the cup tie, and we'll move on and fight other days, won't we? It is a bit of a shame that the League Cup's resorted to this, and for me, they've got to play the first round of the League Cup the week before the league season starts just to get something back out of it, but they don't, and that's what you're left with. 10,000 was it in the crowd? Didn't even look like that many, and apart from when Matey was banging his drum, it certainly didn't sound like that many. It's not a night that's going to live long in the memory, and if Coventry get Plymouth away, then kind of glad that we're out, really. So we'll move on. Bradford on Saturday, newly promoted Bradford, second time in 3 that we've played a promoted side, Jimbo. This time away from home, having obviously played Wimbledon at home. Last time we went to Valley Parade, 1-0 win. Actually, that week was more important the night before the Bradford game than the night of the Bradford game, because you and I were in the town hall celebrating the planning permission being approved for Power Court. That's how long ago it was been since we last went to Bradford. We had a few sherbets that night, didn't we? And the Power Court night, not the Bradford night. And also, funnily enough, the kind of memory of that night was more the Sonny Bradley, Lewis O'Brien fracas that generally does virals on social media every 6 months or so when people are bored.
Yeah, for a man that doesn't remember much, I remember both of those quite vividly, particularly the Power Court night. That was a hell of a night down the White House after being in the town hall for most of the evening. Blimey, that was a long time ago. And we've had quite a lot of history since then, haven't we? Done a lot. Been through a lot.
6 years ago, 2 promotions, 2 relegations, and a whole lot in between. Yeah, absolutely. And now here we are again, playing Bradford away. Winning a draw for Bradford, so they've started the season well. They've carried that momentum forward. Obviously, in the dugout, they've got someone that Luton fans are well aware of, Graham Alexander, who used to play for us 20 or so years ago, and very astute right back. In fact, if he's still fit enough to play, he might get a game, mightn't he, with our right back options limited in the way that they are at the moment. I've been looking through all the stats, Jimbo. I'll come on to my favourite Bradford stat in a minute, but we'll do the players first. I mean, the obvious one, and the one you kind of fear here, isn't it, is Josh Nerfville coming back to haunt us. He left to go to AFC Wimbledon. He left AFC Wimbledon in the summer as their player of the season, I believe, and he's playing right wing back for Bradford, and obviously left wing back's a bit of a problem area for us whilst we're sorting Bramall out as well. It's got all the nasty makings of someone coming back to haunt us, this one.
Yeah, he's going to be extra motivated, isn't he? He's a Luton lad as well as academy graduate. So, and he did really fantastically last season and scored an excellent goal to help them into the final of the playoffs. And they were gutted to lose him because he did win awards, but unfortunately for Wimbledon in that scenario, Bradford are a bigger club, and that's probably where that lies. And it's a short career, but I'm looking forward to seeing him. But I'm also I'm not looking forward to seeing him, because it does have banana skin written all over it there, given where the weaknesses are in the back line. I mean, I say weaknesses at the moment. In the league stakes, have not conceded a goal yet, so that hopefully doesn't get exposed, and we can get back to clean sheeting the weekend away. So, but yeah, I expect a tough test. We expected it from Wimbledon, I think, and they came up from the playoffs. Bradford automatically promoted, and look a very workman-like team. Now that's doing them a disservice, isn't it? But what I mean is they look like they work hard and they're together, which you would be, as we've experienced when we won automatic promotion from the lower leagues. So, and they're going to be buoyed by playing at home. I know they've already done that, but they're embarking on a new season and a new league where they're anticipating perhaps doing as well in this league as well, because it can be done, and we're a case in point. So it's going to be a tricky one. But at the same time, the performances that we've put in terms of being solid in the league and at Coventry to a certain degree will bode well. I'm not sure it's going to be a high scorer.
Fair enough. Two forward players to watch out for of theirs. Anthony Sarcevic is probably a League Two specialist, isn't he? Pretty much every team that gets promoted out of League Two's got him up front. He was at Stockport when they got promoted as well. He scored the winning goal in the 97th, 98th minute, whatever it was, on the last day of the season that got Bradford above Walsall to get them automatically promoted. So he'll know the sort of wood from the trees. Not likely to beat us with express pace and movement, which is handy considering our express pace and movements serving a 2-match ban or 3-match ban, but one of it's obviously been and gone. That was nicely timed as well, wasn't it?
That I suppose he was never going to play in the Coventry game. That was such a surprise to me. I mean,
me too.
Didn't see it at the time, and then seeing the video before the verdict came through. Every experience I've had of Christ Makosso, he's the happiest man in the world. I don't know what has happened there for him to throw such a mean punch at somebody, because he seems like he wouldn't hurt a fly really. But and at the same time, even though you don't want to condone that behaviour, we've not had a nasty streak for 2 seasons really, have we? And that, don't do it again, Chris, but that can be very useful if channeled in the right way.
Yeah, when we've called for fight on this podcast, Chris, that wasn't quite what we were meaning. But if ever his football career goes wrong, he'll make a mighty handy super middleweight, wouldn't he, based on that right hook? Yeah, no, I saw that the right back wasn't particularly impressed with life when he walked past us. He's obviously bleeding pretty profusely from his nose. But I just thought he was miffed because the physio told him, no, you're not going back on. And he obviously wanted to go back on. But yeah, like you, when you see from behind the goal as well, I was to the right of the goal. When you see from behind the goal, I mean, they've done well to get it sorted so that he missed the Coventry game, haven't they? Because there's no defence for it. You can't put up mitigation or anything like that, because it just clearly isn't any. I'm sure there was a reason why he done it. He didn't just look at the bloke and turn around and cuff him one, but we'll never know that. But yeah, get that ban out of the way last night. That helps. Yes, so Sarcevic is one to watch out for, but the main one in terms of statistics, Jimbo, Stephen Humphreys. He has the most shots on, these are very early days, right, in the league, but he has the most shots on target per 90 minutes, 2.2 per game. He's the third most shots, 5.5 shots per game, so 11 shots over the 2 games. 11 shots. I mean, the geese must be shooting from here, there, and every must be in a target range, the boy. And with that, he's missed the most big chances in League One as well. He's missed 3 of them, so when he gets the ball, we know he's gonna shoot, so we kind of need to stop him getting the ball as often as possible. Really, regardless of the fact that his radar seems to be a bit cockeyed, you don't want him suddenly finding the right, the right area to shoot from.
No, but everything we've seen so far looks like when they set their defensive shape, it's been quite compact. So there has been a lot more getting out to the ball and trying to stop those efforts. And then also, not that he's been tested yet, but we're pretty comfortable with what Keely's doing and his shot stopping potential, because of what we've seen anyway in an Orient shirt at least. So you'd be comfortable with that arrangement, allowing somebody to shoot from distance if that's what they were going to do. So, but at the same time, like I say, I don't think it's going to be a particularly high scorer, so you don't want to give them anything really, because at home as well with their crowd, going 1-0 up could be very tricky, particularly with Luton's goal record. The other way around, you fancy Luton to see something out, don't you? So that's, the first goal is going to be pretty important in this one.
Yep, shout out to Josh Keely's old man who got in touch with me. I'm getting all of the relatives and everything at the minute, I tell you. Got in touch with me to say that he enjoyed the show over the weekend, and we're glad that you did. And Jimbo and I are fully paid up members of the Josh Keely fan club. We'll fight between ourselves about who's president of it a little bit down the line. Just one other Bradford stat in terms of players, and it's a great one because Max Power, who we've come up against many a time on our way through the leagues, he's third for the most successful tackles in the league. So with a name like that, he should really be good at tackling, shouldn't he? The other thing I like about this Bradford side, 2 games in, 8 yellow cards. They're obviously, they're obviously put it about a bit. 8 yellow cards. 8 different players have got a yellow card as well. It's absolutely 2 games in. It's absolutely crazy, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're into your ACCAs and stuff, which you are, you might have a decent day on this one.
The referee could be busy in this game, that's for sure. Just on Bradford, 3rd lowest possession in the league, and they've played Wickham. Okay, Wickham are the highest possession team in the league. Again, 2 games played. These stats are going to level themselves out. But Northampton aren't known to be one of the more possession-based sides in the league. So Bradford clearly happy without the ball. Stands to reason, really. We don't want it either. So it's just going to sit there on the centre circle, and we're going to watch it all day.
Yeah, well, I did look at the highlights from the Northampton game, and they at Sixfields as well. So Bradford had by far and away the best chances there. I mean, hit the post. They probably should have won that game, really. And I think Graham Alexander said as much in the press afterwards. And I thought they were good value in that game. Really, they looked pretty tight, and it wasn't. It was effective stuff. They were getting down the sides and tossing useful crosses in the ball into the box and winning some of them as well. So you can see where their focus may be, but also we've talked about the size of our defenders, and I know we're losing the speed of Makosso because he's banned for 2 more, but you'd fancy our defence to deal with those. Just hope they do.
Yep, I watched Bradford's opening game against Wickham because Sky had all of the games on the box, didn't they? And I knew we were going to be talking about them within a week or so. They looked all right. Wickham look absolutely horrendous. I know they won in the cup last night, but not the greatest. And
they've lost Richard Kone to
QPR for about a third of the price that we reportedly had turned down for them.
Unbelievable.
How does football work? Funnily enough, QPR had Kelman, who outscored Kone last season, flogged him onto Charlton and went and signed Kone. Who can work football out? I certainly can't. That's for sure. Mate of mine's a Blackburn fan. Blackburn played Bradford in the cup last night. Bradford beat them 2-1. They were 2-0 up after about 5 minutes, I think they were. He said they were hard work inside, much in line with what we're suggesting here. So we're likely to be in for a physical, tough battle. I guess the first question, Jimbo, quite simply, is who replaces Christ Makosso?
Well, I suppose that the obvious answer, if we had some wing backs, would be Big Nige. What's his name? What's his surname again?
Long Wake.
Big Nige Long Wake. And that would be that would solve that. But obviously, I think you're right that Rewalt was going to be out for a short period, so probably won't make this game. And he has come on as in his place in the 2 league games. So, but for me, based on his performance, I know he's not fit yet or fully up to speed 100%, but if you can get 65, 70 minutes out of Gideon Kadea, then I'd make him right wing back and get Big Nige fitting in where Christ Makosso goes.
Can't we just sign Smith and Jones and everyone else? This would be a whole lot easier, wouldn't it? I mean, if rumours are to be believed that we're still interested in Al Hamadi, we're going to trip over our tongue with that one as well at some point over the course of the season. Again, Pete O'Rourke again flagged up today that now that Ipswich have replaced Delap, that they're willing to let him go. So be interesting to see if that happens. Yeah, I'm with you. You don't mess about with Naismith. You don't mess about with Mads right now. He's just scored. You can't just suddenly, give him the Shepherds straight after that, can you? And then Longwake, right centre back, Kadir on that right hand side, and Millie Ali presumably left wing back. Do we want Millie Ali there? No, we want Cohen Bramwell there, but unfortunately we don't get everything we want in life, do we? But the trade-off with that is you're going to get Nicky Wells, who's going to get an awful lot of stick at being a former Huddersfield player at Bradford. You can get Nicky Wells, Jordan Clark, and Jerry Yates on the pitch, and we saw in the second half at Peterborough how important that is.
Yeah, absolutely, and we need those players on there to be creative, and so far Wells is the man with the 2 assists, isn't he? So
only given 1 though. What is this nonsense about? They can't have scored an own goal if you didn't put the ball in for them to score an own goal, but apparently you don't get an assist for an own goal. Absolute. I mean, Sean Dyche would call it utter woke nonsense, wouldn't he? That's what he would call it. But how can you not get an assist for that?
That is utter woke nonsense. Well, Mr. Wells, if you're watching, you can have that assist on me because I'm giving it you.
Yeah, we're two assists. Oh, two right. It's crazy. But it is important that long term, do we want Millie Ali at left wing back? No, we don't. We I don't even think long term we're going to have a left wing back. I think we'll have a left back. But if it gets everyone else into the team, it's one that you can kind of tolerate.
Yeah, it's probably one you just have to stomach for now, and that's just the size of it really at the moment. But yeah, we'll see. I think that probably will be the way they'll go.
And that'll be a good battle down that side, wouldn't it? Millie Ali against Josh Nerfville, because neither really want to defend. Both pretty quick. Whoever wins that battle might go a long way to deciding the outcome of the football match.
Yeah, well, the pace element for me is probably where you're looking. You know, if we're slightly looking through our fingers at the possible good performance of a Josh Nerfville against his Boyd side, then Millie Ali's pace will go a long way to try and negate that, really. I mean, in the opposite way, he may be able to negate Millie's pace, but that's probably, a battle that will be quite significant in the outcome.
That is your front three, presumably Nicky Wells, Jordan Clark, Jerry Yates?
As long as it's Jordan Clark playing slightly reserved in that and Nicky and Jerry playing further of the two, then I think yes, because when Clark does find those little pockets of space, which he was doing towards the end of the last season and has done on occasion on these two games, then that really works for him, and he can dictate things there. And when you've got him doing that, and if Liam Walsh is going to play and him further back doing the same from further back, then it just allows Luton to build possession through the thirds rather than what we saw very often last season, which was the midfield was non-existent because they were looking at the sky.
Yeah, there's no joy in pumping it up to Jerry Yates in this game. They're going to have a couple of beefcakes coming out of League Two at the back, aren't they? Is Liam Walsh in your midfield, though? Both him and Zach Nelson did perfectly well on Tuesday night, but they also both played 90 minutes or most of, which suggests to me that neither are going to start on Saturday. Saville and Baptiste as the pivots.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what will happen because they didn't play and they've rested, and that's probably a good thing for Shandon until he can, and if he can, and touch wood and good luck and all that stuff, that he can get through a good chunk of work and a good few weeks, months even of football, because that's not usual, but it just does look like a very assured partnership, and we already picked that out as one. And then if the pace of the game dies down or there's tired bodies, and you can bring on Liam Walsh and he can instantly get into the game as he did at Coventry and start trying to get Luton back on the front foot, so that it is a useful option. It's unfortunate, isn't it? But these are the sort of things you're going to have to kind of manage, or Blue Football have to manage, because Liam Walsh was fantastic at the end of last season. But if you're going to have to battle against teams, and like we say, we probably are expecting that against Bradford, then Saville and Baptiste are going to be your men for that.
I'd agree. It is harsh on Walsh. You're absolutely right. He's not done anything wrong when he's played. Was the Wimbledon game his greatest game? No, not really. But find me someone who can put their hands up and say it was. Not many can. The good thing for Liam Walsh is there's absolutely no way on this planet that Shandon Baptiste plays 90 against Bradford, 90 against Wigan and 90 against Cardiff. So Liam Walsh is going to get a fair chunk of minutes over the course of these three games, because the rat-a-tat, we're not even into the middle of August and we're rat-a-tat-tat, aren't we? It's absolutely relentless. Maybe that's a good thing about going out the Cup, that we've got that Tuesday at the end of the month spare, so that you and I don't have to come into this studio and talk about one of those games. Yeah, I see it like that. I really do. I see it as I right now I see them, if we're only playing two in that double pivot sort of 3-4-2-1, as Matt likes to set it up, right now I see Saville and Baptiste as the best two. That's not to say that they're going to play 46 games, because they're not. The games come too thick and fast. Saville's 30, 32, 33, something like that.
But he did play a hefty chunk of games
But
for Millwall.
But he's going to come off at some point, isn't he? He's not going to go 90 over the next week either. It's just not going to happen. So that maybe that's why Zach did 90 last night and Walsh. And maybe that's why we saw Zach in that position last night, to know that when Saville can't do it, can we put Zach in there? And yes, we probably can, because based on that shot here, we probably don't really want him that close to the goal. It's just an anomaly. It was just one of the funniest shots ever, because he came onto it. And if you think back to the Carabao Cup last season, he scored an absolute pinger in the top corner, didn't he? And everyone's like, oh, here we go. And then as he ran onto it and hit it, you just knew where it was going, and it wasn't going anywhere near the goal. In fact, there was a entrance where the fans walk up 2/3 of the way up that stand, and it nearly went straight down there, which would have been a problem, because there was no one in that stand. It would have taken a week to get the ball back. But I digress.
He's another one that would be harsh on, isn't it? Because I thought the midfield worked really well at Coventry, and they really connected the back to the front.
I mean, there is a solution to this, Jimbo, and it's put more midfielders in the team. I might have asked for this once or twice.
Yeah, you have. It's not going to happen.
No,
you have.
But if it's that harsh on them, don't be harsh on them and stick one or two more in. Yeah, we're fully expecting the 3-4-2-1 or 3-4-1-2, 3-4-3, however you want to, however you want to describe it. What do you want to see from Luton on Saturday, Jimbo? I mean, obviously you want to see Luton score more goals than Bradford. The question wasn't kind of loaded from that, but we are defensively solid enough. What do you want to see now that takes us from the Peterborough car in motion to where, a little bit further forward? Let's park the Coventry game, because it's completely different 11. What do you want to see in improvement? Where do you want to see it on Saturday? It's a big pitch at Valley Parade, isn't it? It's a huge pitch. In fact, it's a massive stadium, and they'll have a good crowd, because they do really well with their season tickets, because they offer them at a really, really low price, and fair play to them for that in the day where every penny is getting pinched out of supporters that can be. What do you want to see from the town?
Gideon Kodua. From the start, I just thought he was really positive and really attacking, fearless. Just ran at players. If he got bumped, he'd ride it. If he got tackled, he'd chase back. And I just thought that it offered a very extra dimension to what we've seen already of Luton getting forward. And Jerry Yates is going to need balls into the box, and he looked like he can provide that. And Millie Ali can do it as well if he does play on the other side. So, but I kind of expect that more. But Gideon, I want to see him. I think that he just looks a proper player, and I think that will give Bradford a lot more to think about than if we play it safe.
And it will naturally help our I don't want to keep using the word clunky in attack, but weird output in attack. I mean, the shots themselves, number wise, there's nothing wrong with it. The shots on target in relation to the shots seriously needs to improve. But I go back again to last season where we were having God knows how many big chances, and it was the big chances to goals ratio that was absolutely horrendous. I'm not going to criticise us for shooting, because you don't win the game if you don't. But the quality of chances, and Matt's all about this, isn't he? He keeps on saying it in your press conferences. He's not really interested in shots and shots on target. He's all about the quality of chances, isn't he? That needs to improve. And obviously last night was a perfect case in question. We got into the final third countless times, particularly through Kodua and through Lamine Fane. But the centre forward was just slightly on his heels, or didn't have that natural instinct to get in front of his man to give them a ball in, whereas Jerry Yates and Nicky Wells, it will be both of them when it have that. So if we do have Kodua down that side, because we haven't really attacked down the right side yet, have we? I mean, Rue Waters tries, but his final pass or final cross is very much the thing that he has to work on. Nigel, when he came on against Peterborough, he was firmly, you stay back, Millie Ali goes forward sort of thing. So we've not really had it from both sides. So if we do have Kodua down one side and we have Millie Ali down the other side, and we've got Yates, we've got Wells, and we've got Clark's sort of in and around it as well, it's a numbers game, isn't it? The more numbers you get forward, the more chance you've got of scoring, which stands to reason. So that would be a good thing. And then if Kadir does really well, he's going to have the mother of all headaches, Matt, when Izzy Jones is back.
He will, but I think Gideon can also play as a 10 as well, so that offers another extra dimension to what can offer. Because
you're all over this geezer, aren't you? You can be the president of his fan club. I'll be Josh Keeley's president fan club member.
Yeah, fully signed up from what I've seen so far, and I've got West Ham mates, and I know that he's well thought of in London, in the East End of London, anyway. So I think it's a very useful acquisition there. And I just think that what you were talking about the shots, weren't you? And how that, yeah, they're not particularly accurate at the moment, but we weren't shooting this stage last season. It wasn't happening. Matt Bloomfield brought it in more once he got the team rolling, not in the first month or two when it was still a bit of a struggle and he was trying to unpick some of the problems that he inherited. But they got to that more and they were shooting more, and you could see that from, I don't know, Clark scoring at Coventry, at Cardiff, sorry, and many other examples. So they've got that in their locker now, and regardless of the midfield mix and who it is, Shannon Baptiste had a couple of shots, George Saville a bit more reserved there, but that's okay. That will still continue if you play those players, I would hope. But then you add the extra dimension of a flying winger who is just not going to bow down to anyone that's in front of him. And then that's just a different dimension that is very hard to deal with. And you pair that with Millie Ali on the other side doing exactly the same and hopefully picking a better final ball or final action, because sometimes it's a step over too far or that sort of thing. But again, everything's a work in progress, really. But that is something that I think is where Luton will be going when the players that currently are injured come back. And that's an interesting and very exciting prospect.
Yeah, I quite agree. The other thing that interests me on Saturday is, can we be a threat from set pieces? Because Peterborough are horrendous defending set pieces. I referenced that when I watched their Cardiff game. This lot aren't going to be. You don't come out of League Two if you can't defend set pieces. We found that out in the Blackpool semi-final, didn't we? Way back when, that if you can't defend set pieces, you're in toast. So they're going to be able to. I think they've got Curtis Tilt, who's pretty tall in the back line, and they'll undoubtedly have a couple of others. We can meet fire with fire in terms of the height department, but can we have that aggression, that physicality that Mads showed at Peterborough to get on the end of one? Because a large part of these games are going to be grinds, and we're expecting no different here. I would imagine the first hour here is going to be a real grind, unless we can get an early goal and get ourselves in front and make them come at us. As I referenced earlier, they don't want the ball, so they're going to sit deep, aren't they? You don't, with none of the ball, you don't sort of play in their half. The game's going to be in their defensive half. So we might have to get something out of a set piece. So if we can dominate aerially there, and, even without Christ, there's still a lot of height in there. Whether it's Nigel comes in or whether it's Mark McGuinness, there's still Mads, one of those two, Cal Naismith, that we're not short of height. Can we get on the end of things? Because if we're a big set piece threat this season and have that string to our bow as well, there aren't many strings we don't have to our bow. And as someone pointed out in our Peterborough review in the comments, that I've got Birmingham-like arrogance. There's a reason why I've got Birmingham-like arrogance, because they won the league with won promotion with 6 games to go. They were bloody good. And if we could tick every box, we're going to be good as well.
Birmingham-like arrogance.
That's what I was accused of.
I didn't see that one. We were just happy at winning a couple of games, whoever put that in the comments. No, I agree.
I think it was a put down, but they won the league by however many points. They set God knows how many records. It's not exactly a negative to be to be as arrogant as Birmingham, is it? I'm not arrogant. I just believe in my team that I saw on last Saturday.
Well, one man's arrogance, another man confidence in it. Who knows? Let's park that one. But you're right. I think that the fight and the will to win first and second balls is there from this team, where perhaps you could say that was one of the things that were lacking, which is why they were always on the back foot last season, certainly at this stage. And you saw that from the Mads goal that you highlighted, because he just had more desire to get there. But you're going to have to win that battle, or at least match a team like Bradford. Otherwise they will overturn you. What they did against Northampton can happen against anyone else who's not up for that fight, and that's what you've got to try and avoid here, because although they missed a handful of chances there, perhaps that they miss them there and they take them against us if you allow that. But I think that with the mix that you've got at the moment, and particularly if you play that midfield two of Saville and Shandon, then I like to think that doesn't happen as much. And but then it's about, from the set piece stakes, converting those chances. It's very difficult to actually convert from set pieces and corners in football generally. I mean, we had a great success in the Premier League, relatively speaking, anyway, didn't we? But it is quite difficult. But it's with the height we've got, it's a big opportunity to try.
Yep. Bramall's set pieces were all right last night, to be fair, so maybe we're building up a decent bank of them. But yeah, Saville's going to be on them on Saturday, and that's fine with me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Saturday, Jimbo. It's a ground that we've not been to for a while. It's not a new ground for me. There's only one new ground for me this season. But generally, when I go somewhere that I've not been for a while, to be fair, I'd like it an hour and a half closer, but you can't have everything. It's meant to be a sunny day in Yorkshire, and they don't come to a penny either. So lots to look forward to.
It's a good football club, isn't it? I've got. It's not one of those clubs that you look at the fixture and go, "Oh, I don't want to go there." I mean, maybe not if they're playing really well, but as a football club, it's a proper football club. So and well supported at this level. That's a really big thing to play in front of a big crowd, and vociferous crowd as well is another thing to navigate. But you'd hope that the Luton players have done that enough that they would be able to, and then they've just got to try and impose a game, which they managed to do. Second half of Peterborough, first half against Coventry, we need a 90-minute performance somewhere along the line. But are we going to get that at the moment? Maybe not. Remember, it's still that work in progress, but a decent 60 minutes somewhere to win a game would be useful. But I think you're right. It's going to be a grind somewhere.
Yeah, I think so. Particularly away from home. They're all going to be grinds, aren't they? You can't just turn up and roll a team over away from home. It'd be nice to get an early goal and then see what this team's made of. Do we keep on going, or are we happy to just be in front, sort of thing, and contain? These are the questions that we'll get the answers to as we go through the course of the season. We'll finish the Bradford part of the podcast with the score predictions. I've let you go first for the first two, and I've beaten you on both occasions, so you can go first with this one, Jimbo.
Well, I've already given you what my score is going to be. I think it's the possibilities of scoring is going to be quite low. So I will take a lovely 1-0. And in fact, I'll take a 1-0 every single game. I will adjust it per game, don't worry. But I think 1-0 away feels good in the Luton shirt at the moment. I really enjoyed it, getting up to the Premier League that way. And I'll be happy with that. It's going to be hard against away teams. It's going to be hard against teams like Bradford, because they've just come up. If we found it hard against Wimbledon, they adjusted their game plan to try and stifle Luton more. Maybe that won't happen as much when Bradford are playing at home, so there might be some spaces. Who knows if Gideon plays, that might stretch the play a bit. But yeah, 1-0 seems comfortable for me.
Yeah, I might have to stop letting you go first if you're going to take 1-0 off the board all the time. But I'm fine on this occasion because I think we're going to win 2-0 anyway. So you can have your 1-0. I'll have 1-0 Town, and we'll just get a late one when they're trying to get themselves back into it. And your mate Kadir could be on the pitch by that point, and set something up down there for a 2-0 Town win. Get your score predictions into us. Plenty of time to get this one in. If you've already put it in the last podcast, if you can put it in this one so that I've not got to keep on tracking over two, that'll be handy. And obviously, if you have already posted in the last one and you want to change, I'll take and post it in this one. I'll take the one from this one. We'll need to give some shout outs, though, Jimbo, because there were 3 people that got the correct score right in the Coventry game of 1-0 Coventry. That was Phil Oliver 5118, David Kingsley 6626, and Gazza the Hatter. So well done to you 3. You all get 3 points, and our leaderboard has been sorted out like I promised. No need to worry about CFAX or any of that, and it's about to appear on the screen right now. That is pretty much it for this episode of the podcast. Just before we go, I just want to remind everyone that if you are struggling in these times, the Trust have come up with an initiative called Talking Hatters, which allows you to log on to a Zoom call every Sunday at 7 p.m. for around about an hour. You can just chat to fellow Hatters. You can chat to people that are on there. You don't even have to be a Luton fan. This is open for absolutely anyone. And if you want more details on that, there is an X account at Talking Hatters. So track that down on X, and that'll give you all the links that you need to join Zoom and all of the other things that they're doing. It's a fantastic initiative. We're really, really proud of it. We're still in its infancy stages. Lots of things are planned and things like that. But if you do need to use a service like that, don't be afraid, and just log on, and there will be the support that you need.
I've seen lots of good reviews of the initiative as well, so that's always positive, and that's a useful thing for people to get involved with if they're not feeling tip-top, and that's okay. It's okay not to be okay.
Absolutely it is, yep. That's it for this episode of the podcast. And Jimbo, that is it for this particular studio, isn't it? It's the end of an era. We've been threatening and promising that we were going to have to move, and sadly the time has come. We are leaving the lower level and barbershop for the last time for this podcast. So a quick update on what's going to come next. We will be about to review the Bradford game. We'll do that on Zoom. Unfortunately, we're not going to get everything set up into the new studio in time, are we? We may have to do the preview and the review for the Wigan game on Zoom as well. But then hopefully by next weekend, we should be closer to being sorted, and we'll keep you up to date with that. So we apologise that the Bradford review is going to come on Zoom, but unfortunately, that's where we're at.
We are, just like Matt Bloomfield's team, a work in progress at the moment. But yeah, stick with it. We'll try and make it look all pretty and stuff, but we're not going to have this lovely studio in the background. And thanks to the Barber Club and the lower level for supporting us. And it's been great. And we're leaving. They're leaving as well through no fault of any of ours. Greedy landlords.
Indeed. Yep. Get your score predictions into us as you've got until 3 o'clock on Saturday for that. And as I say, at some point on Monday morning, a podcast will appear reviewing the Bradford game. And of course, if you get the right score, we'll give you a shout out. Thanks once again to the Barber Club and the lower level in Luton for hosting our studio for the last year and a bit. We really, really have appreciated your support, guys, and wish you all the best for the future going forward. And also to Sean Grant and the Wolfgang for our intro music, which is loud and proud for us.
New album out just last week as well. If you go to his socials or Fanders Begins at Home Records, Luton label, put it out. So if you liked our intro music, there's more of that good stuff where that came from.
Brilliant. Until next time, which will be a review of what we hope will be the town's 3rd league win of the season from Jimbo and myself. Come on, you Hatters. Clean sheet for the win.